That's going to be the trend through the week ahead. Partly cloudy here today at 84. A shower this evening and fair skies tonight, low 66. Morning clouds and sunshine tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 86. Richard DeWetta, Good Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast. Breaking on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Greenberg for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
This is a proud presentation of Mississippi River Radio Sports, the sports authority. Live in the studio. It's time for the Red Hawks Coaches Show. Live from Wings, etc. Hear the Coaches Show each week on SEMO ESPN 1220 and 1470. And also at SEMOESPN.com and the SEMO ESPN app. Also watch the Red Hawks Coaches Show webcast live at SEMOESPN.com. Now, let's go live to Wings, etc. For the Red Hawks Coaches Show.
Welcome in, Red Hawks Coaches Show. We are live from Wings, etc. We're over in Jackson today. This will be our lone week in Jackson. We'll be back in Cape Girardeau again next week. We've got plenty of seats. You walk in the Jackson location, if you're familiar with it, you turn right as soon as you go in the front door. We're back in the banquet room. On one flat screen, we've got highlights from Southeast Missouri State football. On the other flat screen, we've got the 163rd baseball game of the regular season between the Cubs and Brewers. They'll throw the first pitch here in a moment, and we will, of course, get you to that baseball game as soon as we're done here at Wings, where on Mondays their award-winning jumbo wings are just 69 cents, and that is popular for both dine-in and carry-out. If you're not in the mood for wings, they have a full menu here at Wings, etc., including their freshly made burgers, their wraps, their subs, quesadillas. They have entree salads, smoked ribs, and much more. And don't forget that appetizer lineup includes their ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle spears. You want to watch some playoff baseball today? Wings is the place. Monday Night Football game tonight, Chiefs at Broncos. You can watch it in high def right here at Wings, etc. We're going to be joined by the Red Hawks head football coach, Tom Matukowicz, and inside linebackers coach and former Red Hawk tight end Tyler French is here. Drew Forbes, Red Hawks All-American left tackle, is in the house. Coach Tuk, we got a big show here.
Yeah, full show.
And you'll get an opportunity to tell us a little bit more, some fans, about Coach French and his development from college football player to collegiate coach, and talk about Drew Forbes. You were not with us last week out on the road recruiting. It's the 1 week when you've got a bye week where you can actually get your hands a little dirtier than just focusing in on game plans. How'd recruiting go?
Well, I haven't gone out on – this is the first time I've ever gone out on the road. I think I needed just for my mental peace. So I left Coach Shai back and told, don't be calling me. If something's wrong back home, you call him. So I was able to get in front of some recruits. We do lose some offensive linemen that I wanted to get in front of because it was a live eval. They were practicing and some. So it was a big week. You know, obviously I felt good about our football team where it was at. Both their attitude and effort's been good. I think we needed rest, so we backed off of them. Just lifted and ran and had a couple of short practices, and then the rest of the coaches we recruited. And now that we're back, it's all, you know, focus on Tennessee Tech and get back in a groove. You're always nervous as a coach because you just like routine. Like, you know, it's just always better to be in a routine. When you get off routine, you're nervous about how people handle it and stuff like that. But, you know, I've got a good feel, and I feel like our team won't miss a beat.
So you're concerned about replacing some key guys on that offensive line. One guy we'll talk to a little later, Drew Forbes. But speaking of the offensive line, man, you know you're doing a good job when you've got one of the nation's top running backs. Statistically, somebody's opening up some holes.
Yeah, exactly. They've done a great job, and obviously Drew Forbes has been a great player here for a long time. And but Coach Blake and all those guys have done a really good job of you know, opening up holes. A lot of times Quez isn't even getting hit for a little while, so that's great to see. And we got to continue to work on a passing game, both protection-wise and just timing. We were a little off against Tennessee Tech, and we were late with the ball. Quarterback's got to anticipate, but also there's a lot to it. But we certainly can't have 4 interceptions and expect to have a good year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Eastern Kentucky game because we didn't get a chance to chat with you about it last week. You certainly played well enough on the defensive side of the football to win that game. I know they came out with their backup quarterback rather than their punter to hold when they faked that field goal, and they got a fake field goal for a touchdown. And I know that technically goes on the defense, but realistically, your defense only gave up one touchdown on the road.
Yeah, I think they took a step ahead and really hadn't played well up into that game. I know Coach Sy and his staff really challenged those guys. The players stepped up, and, they should feel pretty good about themselves. It was the same offense that had 500 yards of offense against the FBS team, Bowling Green. Like, that was a good offense that we were facing, and they did a nice job. We had a couple pop runs, but other than that, that held up well versus the run.
And this was one of the top rushing offenses in all of college football. I think they had 6 guys, Coach, averaging 5 yards or more per carry. Yeah. That's hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, they got a great offensive line. I mean, they really do. Got good tight ends, got good scheme. And, the plan was to slow it down. And we were there. We were there in the fourth quarter, even though we shouldn't have been with the kind of turnovers we got. But I think one thing that doesn't get talked a lot about is I feel like if that was last year, we'd have got blown out because I feel like our defense would have started blaming our offense. Oh, man, they throw a pick or whatever. But that never really happened. It still felt like we were a team, And on the sidelines, I was like, hey, the offense had your guys' back at SIU. Go win the game on defense this week. Sometimes that's just the way it is. And so I felt like the whole game, even though we had these crazy sudden changes, our defense never let that emotionally affect them. It was a consistent effort, and that's hard to do with young people.
And as far as if you were a betting man, I know you don't get too much into injuries. If you're a betting man, would you say Marquez Terry is trending towards playing or not playing on Saturday?
I think he's going to be there, and I think it'd be hard to keep him out of the game.
All right. Well, we know he is certainly a gamer, but it did give Zion Custis, the talented freshman tailback, a chance to get a little exposure, Coach, and he finished with 11 carries, 37 yards. You trusted him to run that Wildcat down on the goal line, and he got in for his first college touchdown.
Yeah, that was great to see. I think he's a good change-up back. He's a lot like Quez. You never know where it could go. It's real sudden. And he's obviously a freshman, so he's still getting better. And, it was great to see. That's what I try to tell these guys all the time. Like, you don't know. Like, Zion didn't know that Quez was going to get hurt on a kickoff return, right? So when he shows up to the game, if he'd have thought he wouldn't have played and he didn't prepare like he wasn't going to play, what kind of reps would it look? And that's why I tell him all the time. We had Lucas go out. His backup had to go in, which normally wouldn't have been the case. And so, it's a great message about preparation, for your opportunity. Don't complain about not getting an opportunity. Prepare, because you can't pick it. When your name's called, you got to be ready because, if you don't do well, the team's got to move on to another guy. So that was great response by him and both Tate McClatchy.
And you look at Custis. You don't know what kind of a runner he's going to be when the lights are on, when they're cooking the popcorn. You're playing a Division I football game. He appeared to be a patient runner, not getting too quick before the offensive line can kind of set up. It looked like he was patient, kind of waiting for his blocking to develop. That's not always the case with first-year guys, right?
Yeah, I think you're going to see him a lot. Like, I think he's going to be really good. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got a brother plays for Ole Miss. If he was 2 inches taller, he would be in the SEC. He's got a real high-end ability. Now everything else needs to get up there with ability and get better at his skill sets that he needs to get better at, and then just handle the preparation.
Was the plan maybe to redshirt him, and now because of necessity he had to come in and he's not going to redshirt, and so you want to get some reps out of him this year?
Yeah. The nice thing is it doesn't matter because you get 4 games no matter what.
Okay. So it doesn't matter
even if
how
he
deep
just
you
plays,
get in.
Yeah, you go 4 games. He's played in 2, and so you never know. Maybe he gets injured. So that's the nice thing. The new redshirt rule doesn't force any hands.
So it's 4 individual games. It's not week 4 of the season, not game or not team games. It's individual games.
If they play in only 4 contests at any point in that year, they could still retain their redshirt year.
Boy, that really changes the thinking of a lot of football programs, right?
Yeah, it does. There's a lot to it. Even like with travel, like we need to be able to travel more guys because really more guys are active. You may not choose to play them, but you can. So you need to – I think the OVC needs to look at our travel rules and maybe try and travel a couple more guys each week.
What are the travel rules? And traditionally, what are the numbers that you usually travel when you hit the road? Because, Friday you're taking off and it's going to be a road trip.
You're somewhere around 70. If a guy's injured, like Marcus Lucas is a guy that injured, could play, could not play. You only get to suit up so many. So you could travel a little more but only suit this many people up on the sideline. And then just especially a long road trip like this, the locker rooms are real tight, so you don't want a bunch of people eating up space. So we're somewhere around 70.
All right. It'll be at Tucker Stadium against Tennessee Tech. What was your evaluation of your quarterback, Daniel Santa Catarina? He had an uncharacteristic game. Had only gone into that game with 1 interception. That was the only turnover your team had all season. And then 5 jumped up and got you on Saturday against Eastern Kentucky. What did you see when you went back and did some evaluation?
He was late. It's the classic thing where got to do a better job anticipating. He waited for routes to get open, then threw it. And, when you're playing good teams, that's always too late because the DBs are going to be driving hips out and they're going to catch up on those open balls. So, I just think it's an uncharacteristic poor game. We still should have won it. Other team members got to do a better job with it. But I know him and he's been through a lot worse, and I know his kind of preparation. He'll come out ready to go and, really work to fix that. But it's not just him. It's the timing, through the week. The wideouts need to go full speed all the time so he could get in a rhythm. The protection so we're not sliding out of the way, then throwing it. It's just, there's a lot to it. It's not just as simple as, hey, you got to anticipate you get open. There's just a lot there. But being able to throw the football will be our ceiling. We're going to be able to run it. We got to be able to throw it if we're going to beat the kinds of teams that we want to beat this year. And so that's you got to do that by going out and practice and working on it.
And if you're going to throw the football, you've got to have guys out there capable of making the catches. We know what Christian Wilkerson can do because we've seen it for this being his 3rd year. How about some guys that are new to the program? What's your analysis so far? Jarek Orr and Kobe Breyer, guys who have made impacts at different times so far this season.
I think they've done a really good job. I think they're both unique as far as they give you something after the catch also. When they catch the ball, they can be like a running back also. So I think that both those guys have been a big impact. Jarek is a high he's a fast guy, so he'll get behind those guys pretty good too. So he's also a big deep ball threat. But I think we have lots of good options there at wideout.
And Zach Smith obviously has made an impact, Coach. He had another touchdown against Eastern Kentucky. That's his 2nd TD of the season. And the thing that jumps out at you when you watch Zach Smith for any length of time, he has speed that other guys don't have.
Yeah, he's got a gear. Same thing. He's our punt returner, so he's got wiggle too. A lot of the jet sweeps and all those things. He's a guy that's doubtful for this weekend, so that's a concern. And we got to get him healthy also.
All right. We talked with his teammate Zach Hall on the show last week, and he was your leading tackler in the Eastern Kentucky game. He finishes with 14 tackles. Man, he's in double digits every week.
Yeah. I mean, just great nose for the ball, and the way Coach French coaches them, they, get him to the ball. Even on short passing game, they're still active about being around the football.
All right. There are a lot of people around Southeast Missouri. They keep a close eye on the guys that are the local kids, and we're starting to see number 30 out on the field a little bit more, Nick Thompson from Malden.
Yep.
Tell us about his development, Coach.
He's done a great job. You know, he played running back and linebacker in high school, and just a tremendous coach that he played for, who's now at Kennett. I don't know if you knew that, and they're having a great year.
They're having a terrific year.
Yeah, so he does a great job. Plays a lot of special teams. Obviously, he's backing up Zach Hall, who's an All-American, so it's tough, but he is really impacting special teams, stuff you don't even realize, whether it's on kickoff or pump block and those things. So he's doing a great job.
Another one of the local guys, Al Young, has worked his way into the starting lineup. We've seen him make an impact. He had a big interception in the win over SIU. How about Al Young, his progression as a football player now in his junior season?
Yeah, he's doing a good job. You know, didn't get a lot of action this last week because they ran the ball basically the whole game. But he's consistently getting better and better, and he's a good player for us. You know,
we were talking with Coach Saya last week, and I was impressed by a lot of things Eastern Kentucky did. But realistically, in 2018, can you compete for a conference championship if you can't throw the football? It doesn't appear that they can really throw the football.
No, you can't. Somebody's going to be good enough to make you. It's like if you can't go to the right or go to the left, they're going to make you do it.
Right.
And that's why that's the same way with our offense. Like, we have to have balance. You got to be able to throw it even when they know we're going to throw it. Because then if you can, now you can beat people several ways.
I think it's the one guy that didn't play. They played two quarterbacks. The one guy, the third quarterback that threw the touchdown for the fake field goal, he's the passing guy, but I think he kind of he turned the ball over early in the season. I think lost the trust of the coaching staff.
Yeah, exactly. You know, some teams that run it where it's more of an option, you know, they have a chance. But traditional run game, and you can't pass it, you're going to have trouble.
Yeah. Eastern Kentucky, by the way, was idle this week. And what did you think about what happened around the league this past week, Coach? Score comparisons is one of the most inexact sciences that there is in football. So you look around the league. 2 weeks ago, Martin just thumps Austin Peay. And you're thinking, ooh, Martin might be pretty good. Then they go play winless Murray State, and Murray ends up beating UT Martin. Austin Peay was competitive against Jacksonville State. What did you make of what happened around the league?
It just goes to back up what we talk about all the time. You don't show up, you're not going to win. Like, anybody could beat anybody, and if you don't prepare all week long, you're going to lose a football game. And so obviously Murray outplayed Martin, outprepared him. You know, bottom line. And obviously, when you talk about Jacksonville State, I think games are closer than they have been. And so maybe this is the year that someone finally breaks that streak.
I don't know if their defense is what it has been in years past, but their offense looks pretty good. 48 points against Austin Peay, and they've got a quarterback who transferred from Clemson. It seems like all the Clemson quarterbacks are transferring somewhere, but Zarek Cooper accounted for 5 touchdowns, and that's how they won the football game against Austin Peay. It looks like they have gotten another impact Division I transfer from a big conference. They've got a lot of SEC guys that they've had transfer in over the years.
Yeah, they got good players and keep getting them. So, that definitely hasn't changed.
So it's Jacksonville over Austin Peay. And then the game that I'm sure you guys were keeping a close eye on, and that was Eastern Illinois and Tennessee Tech. Now, EIU raced out to a big lead. I think they were up 31-10. Tennessee Tech made a late comeback but came up short. That was Eastern's first conference victory. And Tennessee Tech now falls to 0-5. That probably makes you a little bit nervous. Nobody wants to play a team where they're trying to get their first win. But they did put 38 points on the board against Eastern.
Yeah, they started out, it was back and forth. I mean, they went down.
I think Tech scored first, right?
Yeah, and it was 7-0, then 10-7, then 10-14, and then Eastern made a bunch of chunk plays on them and got some distance. So I think they've been banged up on defense. Tennessee Tech has given up a lot of points, and explosive plays and stuff like that.
So far, they played at Chattanooga, who is perennially a ranked team, 34-10 in that game. They played a 7th-ranked Kennesaw State, 49-10. Then they played a money game against Utah State, and then Jacksonville State So, I mean, that's pretty good
Yeah,
gauntlet to
exactly.
start anybody's season,
And
right?
Chattanooga's ranked right now. So, I mean, they play 3 ranked teams and go play Utah State. I mean, that's the schedule they were dealt.
So if you're playing elite competition like that, is it hard to evaluate them? Is the Eastern game the first game where you can maybe really evaluate them?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're just making sure schematically everything's good, get our game plans down, and you don't try to do the math. Hey, we should do this or we should do that. The whole focus is about how do we play well, and that you play well by preparing well. So how do we have the best Monday practice we've ever had? What is it about this Monday that we got to get done?
So how much have you talked about Tennessee Tech leading up to this week? You go over anything last week at all?
Yeah, before we left, we had an early morning meeting. We knocked our Eastern Kentucky out. There won't be any more Colonel talk. It'll all be about Tennessee Tech.
All right. So what's the plan going forward for anybody that may not know how game week goes in your football program? Take us through what you're going to do today, right up until Friday when you hop on the bus and head to Cookeville.
Well, today we got a team meeting and go through all the film, and it's kind of our what we would call our first and second down, where it's non-situational. It's not red zone. There's just normal down a distance, normal field position, our base install, and then we practice for an hour. It's in a helmet practice, so you're really just introducing their plays to our base plays. And then Tuesday's kind of a meat grinder. That's full pads, and we're going to really get it on. That's our hardest practice. And then Wednesday's a 2-hour practice where it's helmet, shoulder pads, and it's basically the situation. So third down, red zone, and some 2-minute. And then Thursday it's kind of game script where you get your opening script out and a lot of polish. And then Friday we'll try to get everything done before we leave, but another long road trip. The thing about this road trip that's tough is the 6 p.m. on Saturday. And that's the thing that you got to make sure to do a good job. You don't want players thinking about doing the math, oh, well, how late are we going to get back? Like, it doesn't matter. And then you also don't want them sitting in a hotel all day. You want their legs stretching and all that stuff. So that's the thing that makes this road trip unique.
And your last road trip, it was a 3 o'clock. I mean, it's 3 o'clock Cape time, but they're in the Eastern time zone. So it was a little earlier in your last game with Eastern Kentucky. This is different.
Yeah. So, we'll get home
late.
Yeah. Or early, like 5, 6 in the morning, I'm assuming.
Tennessee Tech is in Cookeville, Tennessee. It's a little over an hour outside of Nashville. So when you analyze what Tennessee Tech does well and what the things that maybe you feel like you can attack them on, what's that game plan looking like?
Well, they're poor in the turnover margin. They're negative that way. So we got to do a good job and make that our advantage. So we got to get takeaways and we can't turn it over. Offensively, they do have some balance. Their quarterback's young but gritty. They do play too, but he's a scrambler. So if things break down, he'll move forward. Defensively, they just play hard. They've been banged up personnel-wise. Good scheme, good. They play hard and physical. They've missed a tackle here or there, and then all of a sudden their big explosive plays really the thing that's gotten their point total out of hand.
And a brand new head coach and a new coaching staff taking over a program and trying to get some traction. You know what that's all about. You know what they're dealing with right now.
Yep. And so I know Coach, and I've talked to him several times. He's a good man. I know he's going to have them ready. The thing that I'll talk to the team about is, we always talk about play hard, play smart, play together. When we talk about playing hard, we should be and are the freshest team. So when I flip that film on, that's what it better look like, a fresh team versus a banged-up team, and we need to get it on. In my opinion, is the main key to the game. We're fresh. We had a bye. They've been in a couple grinders, a long road trip. Like, I know they're home, but let's go.
All right, for those who don't know, the Chicago Cubs looking for another division title. They are playing right now against the Milwaukee Brewers. No score. Looks like they're in the second inning. Cubs and Brewers, and we'll get you to that game following this coaches show. So don't worry, and then we'll get you to the Dodgers and the Rockies. They play game 163. Then we've got Monday Night Football with the Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. All right, Saturday night at the Show Me Center, I had a big Red Hawk Athletic trivia night fundraiser, silent auction, live auction. You were there. Your wife was there. Some of your coaches were there, players, all the coaches from Red Hawks Athletics along with student athletes. What a great night that was, man. And I know they raised a lot of money.
Yeah, did a great job. That's kind of our signature event. People don't realize how hard it is to put something on like that. It doesn't just show up and run itself. And so really the coaches and the players didn't do anything. I mean, I showed up and frickin' had a Coors Light, and they asked me a question. I have no idea what that answer is. It's the Saverinos and Brady and all these people that put this thing on that, and they don't get any of the pats on the back. So those guys did a great job. It's a first-class event, and it was a win.
Nate Savarino spearheading all of that. Nate is in the house. Nice work. The athletics director, Brady Barkey, as well. And, yeah, good hand. It was a really good event at the Show Me
Phil
Center.
Lady's there. I don't want to leave. Now we went down this train. Let's make sure we hit them all. Lady, give you a shout-out. So I want to make sure everybody gets hit there.
Phil Lady, he's on his phone, right, just over to our right. All right, well, let's talk about the two guests that we've got, Coach. First, we'll talk with inside linebackers coach Tyler French, who was a tight end at Southeast Missouri State and now is the inside linebackers coach. He's also had a hand at some point in his coaching career, because I know 2014 was his first year as being a graduate assistant. He's had a little bit of hand in the offense. He's now involved in the defense. Tell us about Tyler French.
Well, when I got here, he had just finished playing, and I don't know, he could go over the story maybe a week or two. I was there. He come in my office and said he wants to coach. And I'm like, well, yeah, everybody wants to coach, brother. Show me. I treated him like, the rag guy from off the street. I was like, hey, do this, and treated him like, hey, we're going to find out. And he did. And he kept going. He was hungry. He's got a good talent. He's got a good spirit. And he's, obviously you love to have alum on your staff, because they really care about the program. And he's he made himself a Division I football coach. He worked his way up. It's no different than earning a scholarship. He was a walk-on and is now full-time basically in the coaching realm. And so hats off to him. He's earned it. And he's married, going to have a baby. And so I say, hey, you don't know what kind of marriage you got, brother. Until you have kids, that doesn't count. But I know he's a committed husband and going to be an unbelievable father, and he's a good mentor to those inside linebackers. So it's going to be fun to get to know him better. Arizona, that bothered me a lot when I first got here.
Yeah, Arizona.
But he's been able to overcome the Arizona thing. Have you met anybody from Arizona? I feel like I don't know anybody from Arizona.
I know a couple of people from Arizona. Glendale, is it Glensdale, Arizona that he's from? Trying to Mesa. He's from Mesa, Arizona. And speaking of marriages, your All-American left tackle, Drew Forbes, is now a married man. So both the guys we're going to have up here.
Yes, and normally you're like, hey, don't get married. And I was like, you need to get married and you need to have kids tomorrow. Because she's a better athlete than he is. She's a stud volleyball player, got linked. I'm like, yes, and we're going to pre-offer. As long as you can get a boy done, I'm in. We're going to pay for their school. So, but seriously, they're a great couple. They've been a team their whole life. She is really the rock, and he could tell you the rock in his foundation and about how hard it is to be a Division I athlete and academics and all these other things. And man, you talk about a true partner. He's blessed that way.
And he is from Bonne Terre, went to North County High School, which is the alma mater of your new offensive coordinator, Jeremy McDowell. I'm sure they've probably got Jeremy McDowell pictures at North County High School somewhere.
Yeah, I doubt it. It's probably more Forbes. They forget the coaches pretty quick.
All right, let's. He's probably the best quarterback to ever play at North County High School. He was awfully good.
They brag a statue of him.
Led him to the state championship game. Jeremy
exactly.
McDowell did. Okay, there is a considerable NFL interest in Drew Forbes. I mean, you've had a lot of NFL teams come to Houck Stadium to look at him.
Yeah, exactly. I think he hits. It's a measurable league. He hits all those measurables. He might be playing a little bit out of position. He might be an inside guy in the NFL. Not sure, but they like what they see, and if he continues to play well and stay healthy, I think he's got a great shot.
Boy, all guys just want to get a legitimate shot at it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's all you can ask for. Is the opportunity to get in camp. Learn the offense and go throw it on there, because ultimately that's all you're guaranteed. Even if you're drafted, it doesn't matter if you don't play well. They'll just cut you.
How many NFL teams have been in here so far?
23 teams to see him.
All right. He's going to join us a little bit later on in the show. We'll let you get to your lunch menu, and we'll bring up Coach Tyler French when we come back from this timeout. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show at Wings, etc. That baseball game scoreless. Cubs and Brewers to see who wins the National League Central Division title. And the big slugger, Kyle Schwarber, standing in the batter's box facing Jolice Chassin, the pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. Quick timeout, back to Wings in Jackson after this on SEMO ESPN.
Wings, etc. in Cape and Jackson beg to differ. They take their sports bar status seriously.
Well, it won't feel like October today. In fact, it's going to feel more like August and September with these temperatures in the 80s for highs, and that's going to be the trend through the week ahead. Partly cloudy here today at 84. A shower this evening and fair skies tonight, low 66. Morning clouds and sunshine tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 86. Richard DeWettig at the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Golick for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. Restaurant in Jackson. We'll be back over in the Cape location, by the way, next week. And before we talk with inside linebackers coach Tyler French, we want to get one more thing in here with Coach Tuke. The Pink-Up game, Coach, is in 3 weeks, October 20th, when Big Bad Jacksonville State visits Houck Stadium. So that's October 20th. But the bidding for the jerseys and everything is ending quickly here, so you got to get on it.
Yeah, I just want to really, basically encourage everybody to get on. This is a huge deal for this community. The impact that it has is, tremendous. The bidding actually ends Wednesday at noon. And so if you guys can get online, one thing that also is different than last year, I want to make sure you guys know is you will get the jersey. You will, at the end of the game, the player will take the jersey off, give you the jersey that has your loved one or whoever on the back with it. And so, time's running out, and just really would hate to see, maybe a jersey not get bid that a kid doesn't have. So please reach out if you need help trying to get on that. But you can go online and bid for that. We sure appreciate it.
And it's Wednesday at noon, the bidding stops, and you go to pinkup.com. pinkup.org is where you go. Pinkup.org. All right, let's hope that's another great success. Thanks, Coach. And Coach Tyler French is on his way up. And apparently the Cubs did not score in the bottom of the second inning, so they'll head to the third with no score. Everybody excited that the Cubs almost scored, it sounds like. They did have a base runner. And so let's welcome in Tyler French to the program, the inside linebackers coach at Southeast Missouri State. How are you, Coach?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I remember when you were a player, that touchdown catch you had against Murray State. I believe that was, 2011?
Mm-hmm.
And then you battled injuries in 2012, and your last year was 2013. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. What was your experience like playing here? Because when you came, they had just won a conference championship in 2010, your first year in 2011.
That's right. Well, it was different from anything that I experienced coming from, high school. Then I went the JUCO route, and I came out here, and the style of offense was a little different, doing all the option stuff. But, it was a really good experience. The town was way different than I grew up in,
So Mesa is where you grew up. I know I was looking at your bio. They had you down as Scottsdale.
Yeah. They had me at Scottsdale, and I just never got it changed.
I just
didn't really worry about it
too
much.
So how far is Mesa from Scottsdale out there?
About 15 minutes.
Okay, so it's close.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up there? Because obviously the weather is what Arizona is known for. You always hear the term, it's hot, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah, 115 degrees is still hot.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference is the humidity out here was really tough to get used to. And people out there will tell you, well, I'd rather be in the humidity, and they have no idea. 105, 115, it's hot, it's dry, you can manage it, but out here it's terrible.
It's miserable.
Yeah, I don't want to be outside.
And as a high school or as a college athlete, it's a little different if you're a coach. yes, you're hot, you're out there coaching, but if you're working out in this stuff like you were when you were a player, totally different animal. How big of an adjustment was that? How big of a change was it? You're playing at Phoenix College, and then so you're dealing with that atmosphere, and then all of a sudden you're doing two-a-days here in all the humidity in Missouri.
Like I said, I think the biggest thing was just the difference between humidity and zero humidity. Wearing pads and doing all those things out in Phoenix, 108 degrees in pads, turns into 115 or whatever. It's still really hot. But out here, breathing and doing those things with the humidity, it's terrible.
So it was the final game of the 2011 season. What do you remember about the game against Murray State and your touchdown catch?
Well, that was my lone touchdown reception here as a Red Hawk. It was on the goal line, probably around the 8 actually, and we went big personnel, and I was on the backside. We ran a play action, did a deep crossing route, and I think I sold the safety enough to think I was pass blocking first or run blocking first, and got him kind of going the other way, and I was wide open.
Do you still have the football?
No.
No. They don't let you take the football in college?
No.
Well, that's something that needs to be addressed right away. That's not good. Your birthday's coming. This is birthday month for you, October.
It is.
All right. Tell us about the transition. Coach gave us a little bit of an inkling from player to when you made the decision, I'm going for it, man. I want to be a football coach.
Well, I knew it was just for me to determine what level I wanted to do it at. I knew I always wanted to coach, and talking with my father in the past was, well, I'll just get my teaching degree and be a PE teacher and be a high school coach. And then when I got done playing, I was like, well, I want to stay in college as much as possible. So I graduated. I actually went back home for a couple of weeks, and I didn't really have anything to do. I got offered to be the tight end coach at my junior college I went to, but it wasn't going to be anything worthwhile. And so I said, you know what, there's a new coach. I'm going to come back. So I drove back out here. And
not knowing what the interaction was going to be like with this new coach.
No. I actually met with Coach Duke like 5 times, and I don't think he remembered me the first 4. And, so I showed up, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to try to meet with him and coach, and I would just want to start the process no matter what it is, what I have to do. And
you knew grunt work was going to be involved.
Definitely. And so the first day I met him, he was dealing with transition and doing all these things, and it was like, hey, I want to coach. And he's like, yeah, well, who doesn't? And I was like, okay. And he's like, all right, well, leave me your number and I'll call you back later. Well, I'm still waiting for that call. So
don't give up. I'm sure it's on his list.
Yeah, so I came back in multiple times, and, next time it would be, okay, well, what's your name this time? And then, what was your GPA? What'd you graduate with? I mean, I remember I told him, I graduated with a 2.75 GPA, and he was like, that's not good. So, but, I kept coming back, and I think eventually he's just like, okay, put together some office chairs. That was my first official job as a coach, was putting together our 30 office chairs in the back rooms. And I was okay with that.
You were office chair guy.
Yeah, I was office chair guy. I was hold the door guy for official visits, getting ahead of the pack, and I was just holding the door, greeting people, and I was okay with that.
Now with official visits, you have seen the new golf cart, right? I mean, I think that thing is available for official visits for recruits, driving that baby around.
I have. Is there a new one?
Brand new.
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's an old one, but they totally refurbished it. Auto Tire and Parts did all of the. Or I'm sorry, Auto Trim Design, Auto Tire and Parts. Come on, Auto Trim Design, locations in Farmington and Cape.
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, well, it's pretty snazzy. They had it at the trivia night the other night. So Brady came in. It's got a thumping sound system. It's got ground effects, lights. Everything is Red Hawks on it. It's pretty nice. Any recruit would want to be driven around campus in the new golf cart. So that's something you're going to have to get a look at. Now, you started out kind of helping out on offense versus where you are now on defense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I started out as the offensive quality control. So I was just, helping day-to-day functions with that deal. And I was helping Coach Weimer's at the time when he was the offensive line coach. And I was, obviously assistant Coach Poteet when he was here as well.
And how did the transition going from a graduate assistant into what you've got going now?
The biggest thing I think is just responsibilities. Every person has their job and their set soul of responsibilities, but now I got to recruit and I got to add more things to my plate, and I think that's one of the biggest things is now you got to get kids in and buying into the program and doing their part.
Who was most instrumental in showing you the ropes about recruiting? Because, I mean, that's the lifeblood of any football program.
Well, I leaned on Coach Tuke a lot, but I think when it comes to recruiting, you can get all the advice you want, but I think you just have to go out there and do it yourself. And as you go, you'll figure it out, and that's what I've done, and it's worked for me. But I've leaned on Coach Tuke a lot for it.
All right, Zach Hall, did you recruit Zach?
I did not.
Okay. Well, tell us about working with him. I mean, because here's a guy who's on pace maybe to finish his career top 10 in tackles if everything keeps trending the way that it's trending.
Well, Zach Hall is he's a very special player. He makes my job easy. His processor, his brain, play in and play out is really high. But I think what people don't understand is that he's a big student of the game. Every meeting we have, his notebook's always open. He's taking notes. Even if it's stuff that he knows like the back of his hand, he still rewrites it down. And so everything he's doing, it's just a big process for him, and I think he's a big believer in that process.
Well, we just had him on last week and played in a winning program, Male High School, state championship. How important is it to recruit guys that win in high school?
I think it's very important that they know how to win. And if you go recruit guys that have – their records aren't that great. They don't know what it takes to win and all that comes with it. But it's for him. It's been good because him and Z Smith and those two guys came from the same program, and they bring that mentality and they know what it takes, and they can help guide guys in that right direction.
And a guy who was backing him up, Nick Thompson at Malden, led the Green Wave to the state championship game. I mean, Lamar seems to win every year. They've kind of had a dynasty going there at Lamar. That's who they ended up losing to. But another guy that was a winner in high school.
Yeah, and Nick's done a good job. And like Coach Duke said, he's been getting better each and every week, and he does so much for our program that people don't understand when it comes to him just getting his snaps on defense, but what he does for us special teams wise and all that, but he's done a great job.
DeMarcus Rogers has been starting alongside Zach Hall at inside linebacker. Tell us more about him.
DeMarcus came from Mississippi. I don't remember which one. There's so many JUCOs down there.
Northeast
Northeast
Mississippi.
He's done a great job coming in. His body's first of all changed tremendously, and that's kind of credit to Coach Knapp. But you know, he came in kind of all over the place, and as he's gotten older and more experienced in our program, he's just done a really good job. As far as, for our defense, he's got to get to the ball, and that's what he's really good at.
No coincidence, another guy, DeMarcus Rogers, state championship in high school, Tupelo High School.
Yep, and it's just another winner bringing his mentality, and he knows what it takes to get that job done.
All right, Eli Morris is a redshirt freshman coach out of Tampa, Florida, and it's hard to get playing time at Division I as a freshman. Tell us about Eli.
Eli is just in a position that he just needs to keep working and getting better, and I think he's done a really good job of knowing his role. He's a big special teams guy for us, and he just trusts in the process is, I think, really important for him.
So as far as a regiment on game day, take us through game day where you're dealing with the inside linebackers. What are you guys doing on game day when you get on the field and pregame drills and stretching? How's that go? What's that going to be like Saturday at Tennessee Tech?
Well, what we start off with pregame, you know, it's about track and hips, and we work clamping. That's what the game is, run to the ball and tackle. So those are the first two things, and we'll get them some pass drop stuff just to get their confidence going when the ball comes their way. And then as the game goes, it's just, you know, making sure they're where they need to be with their run fits and getting the right drops in their pass drops and understand the flow of the game. And, you know, whoever's doing who's doing really good throughout the game, they need to be the ones in those critical situations towards the end of the game.
You, in your background, were a high school wrestler. I know football coaches love to have wrestlers in their football program. First of all, they understand leverage, and second of all, if you're a good wrestler, you're tough. That's all there is to it. It's you against the other guy on the mat. You can't be a good wrestler and not be tough. Those are qualities you want in football players, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Toughness, it's a tough world. Tough people win. With wrestling, you know, it helps with, like you said, a lot of the leverage stuff, toughness. But I think for me, it was, you know, helped with my footwork. And I know it helps with a lot of footwork with a lot of the other wrestlers that do it. But it was good.
What did you like better, football or wrestling?
Football by far.
Okay. Well, take us through your career as a wrestler. Were you pretty good?
When I was healthy. My freshman year, I was kind of battling it's maybe some varsity stuff, but I actually fractured my femur in my left leg my freshman year, and then I came back, and we had a senior ahead of me my sophomore year who was a state champ, and then my junior year, I hurt my knee again in wrestling, so I was like, you know what, I got a future in football. I'm going to kind of cut that out, and I stuck with football from then on.
How many guys in your high school wrestling team also played football?
I would say 95% of them did.
If you are recruiting a guy and maybe they're very neck and neck, one was a wrestler, one that it was not a wrestler, would that even make a difference?
Well, I like personally recruiting to multiple sport athletes. You know,
okay.
It shows their commitment to what they like to do, but, you know, it also depends on what they do on the field.
How do you rate the movie Vision Quest?
Never seen it.
Oh, it's a big wrestling movie with Matthew Modine. I thought for sure. You're a wrestler, man. You got to see Vision Quest.
I'll put it on my to-do list.
All right, put it on your list. And the coach was saying that you and your wife, Ellen, I believe,
yes,
are expecting your first child. Tell us about that.
Yep, we found out back in April. The expected due date is January 4th. And so we're just kind of
that is a smart move, not having it in season. That very nicely done.
Yeah, it was perfectly planned, to say the least.
So I mean, you may have a New Year's baby. You never know, right?
Yeah, we're not sure, but whenever we're excited for it's going to be a girl. We're excited when she comes.
Right, he just pulled back the scholarship offer. Then, if you're going to have a girl,
that's all right.
All right,
she'll get it. She'll get a different one.
All right. So Saturday it'll be at Cookeville, Tennessee. And what are the things that you, as the inside linebackers coach, what are you guys focusing in on this game?
Well, the main thing is stop the run, and I always kind of pride my guys and tell them that stop the run and force them to be one-dimensional, and if we can hone in on the pass, and we'll be sitting pretty good.
All right, it's a long drive to Cookeville, Tennessee, a little over 5 hours. We'll see you on Friday when we head over. Thanks so much for the time. Best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
All right, that's Tyler French, Red Hawks assistant coach. We'll talk it over with their All-American tight end, Drew Forbes, out of Bonne Terre, Missouri, joins us next. Coach's Show from Wings in Jackson on SEMO ESPN.
The trend through the week ahead. Partly cloudy here today at 84. A shower this evening and fair skies tonight, low 66. Morning clouds, sunshine tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 86. Richard DeWettig, Good Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Greenberg for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
Welcome back to the Red Hawks Coaches Show at Wings Etc. in Jackson. And don't forget, Mondays means 69 cents on their award-winning jumbo wings. And at Wings, they have a heck of a lot more than just their great wings. They also have their daily half-pound lunch specials, which start at just $6.49. They have a kids menu, so mom and dad, you can bring the kids. And they are open 7 days a week, late on the weekends because the games often run late. And if you're checking out their menu, it includes their burgers, wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs, and much more, wings, etc. And we'll be back over in Jackson next week. Let's welcome in the Red Hawks All-American left tackle, Drew Forbes. We do want to give an update. I think the Brewers fluked into a run here, so I think Milwaukee has taken a 1-0 lead, and the guy who's going to win the most valuable player in the National League drove it in, Christian Yelich from Milwaukee. They're in the bottom of the third inning now at Wrigley Field. Did you play much baseball growing up at all?
Not much, no.
So no with baseball. Were you strictly football? Did you play any other sports?
Basketball, soccer, believe it or not. And
soccer.
Some track.
What'd you think of soccer?
I liked it, not enough physicality. So,
so not enough skull knocking is what you're saying.
Yeah, you could say that.
And basketball, for those who don't know, I mean, basketball is a physical sport, especially if you're banging down in the paint, right?
No doubt, no doubt.
All right, so as you get ready to start your senior season, all of a sudden you're getting all of these accolades, All-American status, preseason All-Conference. There was one entity that follows FCS football, and they named the best player in the country at FCS for every number 1 through 99, and they got to number 76, and you were the guy. When did you find out about that? How cool was that?
I actually didn't find out for quite a while. I'm not a big social media type person, so I get into the locker room and people are telling me about it, and I'm like, what are you saying? And someone shows me on Twitter that I was ranked that. I thought it was kind of neat, but it doesn't mean anything until I go prove it this year on the field.
How cool is it to know that at least you are on the radar for some NFL teams? I know you're focused on this season. You're focused on winning with the Red Hawks. But at some point, you're a senior. You're thinking about your future. How cool is it to know that at least they know who you are?
It feels good, and like you said earlier, all you can ask for is that opportunity. So it's just good to know that all your hard work's being seen by those up above.
Boy, it is so easy. I mean, like we saw Marquez Terry the other day with about 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, returns a kick out near midfield, limping off the field, and that's it. We didn't see him again in the game. I mean, it could happen that quick with an injury, and here you are. You have started 26 consecutive games at left tackle. How tough is that process to know that, I mean, you look around and, I mean, anything, somebody could roll up on your leg. I mean, tell us what's the secret to being able to stay healthy like that?
Just through the week, just going and killing it and staying in the training room, just knowing the process that it takes to perform on Saturday.
See, that's just it. Preventive medicine a lot of times can help you from sustaining an injury. Tell us about some of the routines that you have during the week to try and stay optimally healthy and fit.
Well, I'll go ice constantly. That's a big one. Roll out daily as well, and then oftentimes visit the chiropractor, just make sure everything's in line to go and set up for game day.
How good is that when they pop that back?
It feels great. It's probably one of the highlights of my week.
Drew Forbes, you're listed at 6'5", 305. How accurate is that?
I'd say pretty accurate. That's
pretty
consistently 305, yeah.
All right. Now, track and field, as a big guy, were you throwing stuff?
Oh, yeah, I was not running.
Okay. I was going to say. So what were you throwing? I mean, you got hammer, you got discus, you got shot put.
We had disc and shot, and I didn't do the spin on either of them. I remember I would just throw it out of bounds when I'd spin with the discus. So I think they call it a power pop or whatever. I'd throw it like 145 with that, and I'd be like, that's a day. I was just doing it to stay in shape for football.
Okay. Was it a good thing? I mean, did it keep you in shape for football?
It did. It just kept me doing something, staying active, kind of working towards just I'd be too bored if I wasn't doing anything during that time.
So the North County Raiders, which is your alma mater, there in Bonne Terre, they beat Cape Central pretty handily earlier this season. Did you have bragging rights there with Al Young? And I mean, how does that go when the Raiders come and knock off Central so decisively like that?
Yeah, they had a great game, put up some big numbers, but no, there's no bragging rights there, I don't think, because all the other guys in the locker room, Hillsborough, Ryan Ochoa, him and I, and then they went and played who was at Kennett earlier.
Yeah.
And we all it just didn't turn out quite as well as we'd hoped for them, but anyway, no bragging rights.
But Hillsborough did beat your rival, Farmington.
Yeah,
so that's good.
No doubt. It's
That's
always
big.
nice to see Farmington.
I mean, that's the biggest rival, right? It's the Raiders and the Knights, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So at North County High School, is there any kind of a shrine erected to Jeremy McDowell?
He's got something for All-State, I think. Or I don't recall exactly, but he does have something in there for him.
So when was the first time you got to meet him?
I'd say I think it was 7th grade. He comes in and kind of says what he expects of us kind of coming up through high school and what's going to happen, and visits every year. And then following that, you just go into like workouts as a freshman coming in, and kind of how that relationship developed.
How cool is it now that he is the offensive coordinator? I know you don't work hand in hand with Coach McDowell. You're working with your offensive line coach. But how cool is it all of a sudden, your senior season, here comes Jeremy McDowell back and is the offensive coordinator here?
I think it's a really unique situation. I like it because I know what he expects of me already prior from having that, but then this is just at a whole nother level, and he's kind of got to see how I've developed over that course of time, and it's a neat opportunity to get to play for him again.
All right, this offensive line is opening up some holes for one of the nation's top running backs in Marquez Terry. And every time you talk to Marquez Terry, the first thing he wants to talk about is the offensive line. You guys, I know, take pride in a guy going out there and breaking the conference rushing record, 311 yards against SIU. At least I got to think you do.
Absolutely. No, like that's as much on like us as it is on him. He'll go off, like let's say a play's not as successful as it could be, and he'll be like, oh, okay, I'm going to set him up this way to where this is the angle you need to take in order for me to get the first down, if not score. So there's a lot of charisma and just trust that he has in us, and it's nice to know that he's back there and running that ball so hard.
And sounds to me like has a pretty good football IQ. That's big, isn't it?
Absolutely. He's a smart kid, and he knows how to win.
You know, you hear about offensive linemen and how important it is for them to have cohesive chemistry up there. How important is that, and how much time do you guys spend together, and how key is that for an offensive line?
Chemistry is a huge thing. I think in spring ball we were kind of trying to get traction with it. It was a little bit of a struggle getting that chemistry because there was a lot of new guys in on the O-line, and then following that, going through fall camp, we kind of felt just big chunks of momentum just kind of carrying through, and no, it feels good, and we see that product on Saturdays. So.
All right. We were told it was a June wedding for you?
Correct, June 2nd.
All right. Where'd you get married? Tell us about it.
I got married at Farmington, Missouri at her church, and then from that went to a reception at in Bonne Terre. But no, it was amazing, and just another huge milestone in my life, so in our lives. But
so now you got to hear the question, when are you getting married? Now you know what the next question is, right?
No doubt.
When are you having kids, right? I mean, but it's always relatives, right? Okay, so when can we expect grandchildren? When can we expect cousins? Right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's an exact answer for that one, but it's upwards of 3 to 4 years from this point.
But you are. What I'm saying is, you are getting that question, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very consistently. Bonne Terre, I've taken my kids several times to that family fun center in Bonne Terre where you can bowl and go-karts, mini golf, skating rink, bumper cars, inflatables. I mean, that's a cool place for kids. Did you go there when you were younger?
On occasion. My little brother goes there a lot. I think he enjoys it, goes and bowls and whatnot. But no, it was kind of new when I got there. It was kind of geared towards a little bit of the younger crowd.
But they never had stuff like that when we were kids, though. I mean, nothing cool like that.
It was neat. It was they kind of at first it was really expensive when they first opened it, and they expected a lot out of all their new facilities, and now they kind of priced it to be more marketable to the local community.
Yeah, I think I took my 2 girls there, and we paid like $60 for like 4 hours. I mean, that's very reasonable, and they absolutely have a blast. All right, what's the game plan going in Saturday against Tennessee Tech?
We'll execute on offense, eliminate those turnovers, and then basically on defense, just like Coach French said, play football, track the hip, stop the run, force them to be one-dimensional. So.
All right, well, you've told us about Marquez Terry. Tell us a little bit about Zion Custis, because all of a sudden, he's a factor now with this football team.
Absolutely. He's shown that he can play ball throughout fall camp, and he did against EKU. So we're excited to know that we have another back that can run the ball.
All right, 6 o'clock is when they'll kick it off Saturday in Cookeville, Tennessee. We'll see you then. Thanks so much for the time. Congratulations on the marriage.
Thank you much.
All right, that is Drew Forbes, Red Hawks All-American left tackle, and that is going to do it here from Wings Etc. in Jackson. We're going to get you to the Major League Baseball game between the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. That is straight ahead. And don't forget, it is a 6 o'clock kickoff on Saturday in Cookeville, Tennessee at Tucker Stadium against the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. We'll talk to you then. Enjoy the baseball. So long, everybody, from Wings in Jackson.
ESPN Radio Sports Network, 1220 KGIR.